2.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding Live. Coming at you on Monday when we normally record, but you don't see it till Wednesday, but today we're live. So welcome everybody. We're going to have some fun today. It is our Olympia recap and, whatever other nonsense we come up with episode. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell. Made him wait.
There we go. Yeah, I was hanging. That was good. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Use Dusty20 or Big Ron20. Both codes work everywhere. Don't listen to Dusty when he says stuff. And get your 20% off. ISO Surge, 20% off your all-in, and everybody should get on the gear. Okay, guys, we are live. What are we doing?
Olympia stuff. You guys literally just got back. Yesterday, I assume you both traveled home from the Olympia.
Yeah, last night. Yep.
Now, were either of you at the actual show, or did you just watch it on the stream, or what did you do?
We were both at the show.
Yeah,
okay.
We were both at the show. Sitting together.
Good. Because we need to hear your perspectives then, because I watched the live stream. The stream was good this year, but there was a lot that went on there. I know that I'm going to sound like the guy that says like, oh, I called it. But I thought Derek had it at prejudging, though everybody else told me that it was going to be Hadi that was going to win. What did you guys think? Just anything. Start anywhere. Tell us about this contest.
Anywhere.
Well,
anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start. So Friday, I didn't go to prejudging. We did a team dinner. But I was, we're looking at all the 4K footage. We're looking at all the shots. We're, live streaming all that stuff. And my take on Friday, of course, this is the not their quarterback effect that we talk about, right?
Yes.
The not actually their quarterback effect, but my take and what I said all day Saturday was that I thought Hadi had won 4 out of 7 poses. And that I thought that was, to me, a really big deal. But I knew in the back of my mind that he'd lost both back poses.
Absolutely. And
that's a bit of a weird situation because Mr. Olympia always has the best back. And so we're sort of faced with a conundrum, like 4 out of 7 versus like back to front, all around, sort of situation. And then there's also just their stances, front and back relaxed, that walk effect that we talk about, like when the guys are moving around. Like sometimes some guys are moving around and you're like, that guy's so hard. Fuck.
Oh, watch the language. I promised YouTube that we weren't going to swear.
Okay.
Ahead of time.
Promise Ron would.
So just that sort of thing. And but when we got to the night show and they were doing, it was close. Like it was super close between them.
Yeah.
I had Samson third the whole way through.
Okay. Yeah.
But when they were doing their posing routines, and then even during the pose down, when Derek hit the back double during the pose down, and the camera was on him, I remember thinking, my prediction on Monday will be correct.
Yeah.
He just wanted his prediction to be correct. That's all he wanted. He's ignoring every other pose just to get his prediction to be correct.
No, it just was like, it kind of brought the house down, right? Like, when you hear the surge in the crowd on a certain shot, and it's just, that it kind of makes you go, oh, this is a big deal. So.
Yeah, I felt like, truthfully, this is, I guess, where I see things differently is... Like I already had a conversation with a guy today. He goes, well, shows are won from the back. I'm like, well, then throw the rest of the poses out. Yeah. Just walk out and hit the back shots. Like,
that's it.
That's not accurate. Because to me, when I think of what I look for at a bodybuilding show, it's who do I not want to stop looking at?
Yeah.
When they're moving, when they're stepping, when they're turning.
No, so for me, that was Derek. I felt that way about Derek this year, Dusty. But you're saying for you it was Hadi.
Like the language. That's what it is. It's because he doesn't speak English. So I had to say that because so many people were saying that. I'm like, well, he won last year and didn't speak English either, you idiots. Stop
What happened?
Nonsense.
What happened with Derek's Instagram got shut down or something? Like, what's going on with this now? Like, there's people that are hating on him at this point because
everyone hates the winner.
That's what this is. I hadn't followed it.
Specify before I can say my piece that I despise about bodybuilding. Everyone loved Jay until he won.
Yeah.
Then everybody was waiting for someone else to win.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, listen, at the end of the day, what Ron said that's absolutely accurate is the fact that we can have a conversation about this means it was close. Because when Ronnie was winning, there was no need for this podcast. Unless you were talking about second and third. And really that didn't matter because Jay was locked for second. So you had to go down to third and fourth to have any sort of a disagreement.
Yeah.
But again, when I was there, all I could see, and I think this is everyone has to understand they have a bias for what they like. We all do. I love granite muscle.
Yeah.
Now, I also love phenomenal shape because I've never had it. But for example, like Derek's front double is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. But he didn't smash Hadi in a front double, which
he didn't win
my
the
mind.
front double.
I think Hadi won the front double, which a year ago I would have never guessed anyone could beat him. So at the end of the day, I don't like strongly disagree with the loss, but if I was judging, Hadi wins.
Okay.
I just thought that he handled his business well enough, and I think we should do a few things as fans of bodybuilding. Throw away every preconceived notion that everyone ever had. Oh, you got to knock out the champ. Well, that didn't happen, and he won.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to do this. No, listen, at the end of the day, my one thing that I think when I look at both the open and the 212 is I think every bodybuilder is judged against himself first. And then I think he's judged against the competition. Because Derek made much more drastic improvements from last year to this year against himself. And then he stood next to Hadi, who, listen, here's how I thought of it before we got on the show. I don't need to look at Derek's pictures to know where his improvements were. I could tell you right now.
Yeah.
All of the shots that got better. Hadi might have gotten better, but I'd have to look at pictures side by side to tell you where.
He didn't have as much room to get better either,
right.
which we kind of said that before,
Exactly, but I think that's the only thing that I think is a little bit at play, and I say that again when I look at the 212, because I can also tell you at the 212, I did not have Sean losing a shot in hell. No way he was losing that show. He looked like he was, it's like I talked to Jose, he looked like 10 pounds of cement poured into a 5-pound cement bag.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looked like granite. But I do understand, when I look at someone like Keon, I'm like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And look at how much he improved. Like I just said, Keon versus Keon last year, how much better? It's night and day. And then you can at least argue when you put them next to each other because it's pretty. So that's my only thing that I think might actually exist, whether they mean to or not, is it's on your mind. I mean, I just said, what was it, last episode that I said the only reason I didn't love Sean O'Reilly is he kept bringing me the same thing?
Right.
So I like that. I mean, and at the end of the day, as fun as it was to look at the top two, I actually enjoyed fourth down the most because that's when the show got exciting.
Yeah, it was good. And I agree, just to sum up, I still think Hadi won every front shot, all like the front relaxed, front double by, front lat spread, most muscular.
I wonder if I can put this video on without, playing the sound here. Let me see if I can turn the sound down, and we can actually. Let's see.
At that size is really.
That's the wrong show.
Where are we at here? This is prejudging.
Yeah, because you're not going to see Hadi up there with them. That's Derek by himself.
Okay.
I mean, there's other guys, but that's
Derek by himself.
that's how good he is.
That's Derek by himself.
Well, I had another one then. Here we go. How about this? How about this one? I think this was right at the end.
But I believe they already did. So
let's see.
Yep, there it is.
Derek.
Let's see. So I think this was right at the end of prejudging. And I wanted to see if we could. I figured since we were talking about the shots, I could just freaking bring them up here. We could keep talking.
Yeah, so I mean, look at that shot. I feel like 1, 2, 3 is very obvious, left to right. or I mean right to left.
Yeah. So
Get
the
us out of the
side
way
chest,
here.
the side chest was one that I thought was extraordinarily close, but I kept thinking that I sort of liked Hadi's better. But then the side tricep, I thought I liked Derek's better, but Derek's side leg was a little more striated. He flexes his glute harder. Hadi kind of doesn't flex his glute from the side sometimes, and it irritates me. I wish he would, but
Do not irritate Ron, Hadi.
yeah, I gotta flex those glutes, man. But I mean, that shot's crazy. Those two guys side by side is crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Imagine looking like Hadi and still getting beaten that shot, and he definitely
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing, right? So,
And I feel like he
Derek
does some
beats him
even
in the
more
lat
in the
spread
lat.
too. Yeah,
I
he takes
love
the lat
depth
spread
in a
too.
lat spread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3D.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is
And then the
now
side try, he's got that Jay Cutler look. See, he's got that big, huge trap. He kind of shrugs up a little bit like Jay.
Yeah.
I love that side try. Yeah.
was Hadi as hard as he was last year? I didn't see any comparisons, anything like that to pics
I
of
can
last
imagine it
year.
was harder than this. How about that?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
crazy. That shot there.
That most
shot
muscular
there,
is like just one of the
Lights out.
craziest. I can't see anybody anywhere beating that most muscular.
Yeah. Same thing with the abs.
And then
side,
you
though.
know
I
what
think
the
his
most
abs
the
can do
most
so much.
insane thing is? The most insane thing is that Samson's on the screen right now, and we're not talking about him.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
That's the most insane thing. Samson was he was mind blowing. He looked amazing, but these two guys were just so complete.
Yeah. So that's a shot that I mean, like Derek's front double is ridiculous, and you're still looking at both.
yeah,
Whereas the
Hadi's
rear
legs
double,
are harder,
the
though.
rear double,
Yeah, they
Hadi
are.
doesn't have to look at Hadi at all.
yeah.
Hadi's legs are harder from the front, and that was a factor in why he won all the front shots. I thought his legs were just so
Yeah.
much harder than I mean Derek's like completely peeled, but like Hadi just has that hardness to his quads.
Yeah, he really
This
does.
also doesn't do justice to what you saw in person. Just
No.
to reiterate to people, like
I bet.
Derek is much harder than you think he is in this video too.
Yeah.
If you think he doesn't look hard, you're insane. He was nasty also, but
Yeah,
I think you just got however many years extra of training that way. Like, here's what I will say that has nothing to do with our conversation. I think that now that Derek has won this show, one more year, Hadi won't be able to be close to him.
Yeah,
There's not enough room. I mean, Derek is going to be a nightmare. Like the guys coming behind are going to be the ones that are going to try to get up to his level, but I just think he's going to create so much separation between himself and Hadi at the moment. Because look at him.
yeah.
If the front improves anywhere near where the back does, then you're going to have we might have another Jay Ronnie run of just Derek winning.
I'm a huge
Wow.
Hadi fan, but I had Derek. My eyes just,
Right.
and like I said, I was just watching the live stream, but my eyes just kept going to him, and it was just so close. It's just so like this had. Did you guys look at the score sheet? I saw it was posted. I didn't bother looking at it. But I mean, it just is so freaking close because, like you said, Hadi's quads are harder from the front. Derek's harder from the back. Hadi's a little bit bigger, but doesn't have quite the shape in the front the way Derek does. Both of them, I mean, their rear doubles are just insane. Like their rear doubles are both insane. It's hard to think that I could look at Hadi and think that I liked anything else better.
Right. Yeah. One thing that we haven't touched at all that I complained about last year after the Olympia was the posing routines. They were great this year.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of guys put a lot of work into their posing routine. It was as just purely a fan watching that, spent money. I was like, nice. Everyone put the work in,
the screens were awesome at the show.
Were they?
Like there's been years where the screens are like maybe they're just the tall, skinny ones along the side of the stage sometimes, and makes it kind of like not that great. And then they're maybe not that big, and they're kind of angled. So if you're in a certain seat, you can't even really look at the one that's close to you. You have to look at the one that's far away from you. Like that stuff happens sometimes. And this year, the screens were so massive and just overwhelming. It was just, yeah.
You guys think they listened to us about not having a wild
Obviously.
background? They listened to the show, maybe.
They had. What's funny is as soon as I saw it, because they announced it before the show.
Yeah,
that they had done that. So that shows how many people commented.
Yeah.
I'm reading the questions because we have so many. We're live. We got to remember to be glancing.
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to point
stuff,
this one out because I thought it was important.
That's my favorite. Is Eric Bassett said, I just broke up with my girlfriend to listen to this.
That makes sense.
It's the most important comment.
Shoot as much money, buddy.
Yeah.
So Colton asked, do you think Nick could have upset this lineup since all three came in a bit off? None of them came in off.
No,
I don't know where that got. I don't know where that got misconstrued. They were granite.
Yeah,
I think Curry was fourth and Andrew was fifth, right?
Yeah,
I think Nick would have heavily disrupted things up until Samson possibly.
Okay,
in that zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the top two, no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, it would have changed things though. I would have been curious to see. I feel like Brandon was a little downsized in the first in prejudging. And I he had gotten sick or whatever the deal was with him. I wonder if he wasn't able to fill up quite as much. He seemed like, to me at least, he was bigger at finals. I wonder if it was a matter of not being able to get everything back into the muscle in time.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He looked great. He looked great at night.
Yeah,
I thought Andrew was better at prejudging. Did you guys look at the photos and stuff? Because he was a freak. He's a freak. But when I kind of went over things, I thought Andrew might have been a little harder at prejudging. But I'd have to look at that again. And then Hunter was six, right? Hunter looked great.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he looked awesome.
Ever.
Mm-hmm. That was a great Hunter.
Happy to see that. Shredded from the back. The back double looked really good. Just like he did when he won his show. It was nice. It was good to see.
I think people wanted to shut Dusty's Instagram down after our last episode. They did not like that you had Justin up there in the top, and I'm sure they're happy now to prove you wrong, Dusty. There were people that were like, what is Dusty smoking? And
don't you love that? I love when you put up an obvious, disruptive announcement.
Yeah.
I took the guy who won. I was like, he won't be in the top 5. No one even catches that. All right, you guys are obviously not paying attention to my games. But that being said, I would have loved to see Justin there.
Yeah.
He's a great topic because so at the show, I felt like from my seat that he was off.
Okay.
Then I saw pictures from backstage, and I'm like, he wasn't off according to the pictures I had seen. But on stage, I don't know what happened, and maybe Ron could share his opinion on this, but I don't know how much of that is just what happens when you get to that next level. If you just look further off because everyone else is so ridiculous. Because I thought to myself right when he came out, and I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan. I was like, oh, he didn't nail it like I thought. He looked, in my brain, he looked downsized.
Okay.
And I think that some of that was just purely, if you stick someone amongst, you take a giant, I don't know, lion, they look huge until you toss them next to an elephant. And then you're like, oh, it's not that big. So that must have been the effect because looking backstage, it appears he was the best he'd ever been. And he said it was. So that's very telling. But yeah, I was shocked to see that because I will say, as much as that was like a big swing, I definitely had him in the top 10, for sure. So, it'll be interesting to see how that what the next year does, the way he grew. But it's very nice to see, even with 18 years of going to the Olympia, that you forget the gap in level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, side note that I have to bring out just because I thought it was awesome was I thought Regan looked awesome. The best I'd ever seen him. Yeah. He looked confident. And I love that. When you're going to a show knowing you're not a top 10 guy and you own the stage when you're on it, I don't think that you can stress to your clients enough how important that is. I was like, look at him hitting his shots. And you know what I mean? And his routine. And it was just very polished. So I thought that was a very strong showing for him. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, it's funny because Regan was one of the people I had several other people mention to me. There's this big, new Mr. Olympia in the top 2 and 3 was so crazy, but I also had a lot of people mention Regan. Mm-hmm. So he really made an impact. And I think, like Regan's always had such a beautiful physique and he's gotten really big, but when it gets to the Olympia level, he tends to sort of sit in the, like he's been there a couple times and hasn't done this like this, Yeah. And, but this year it was like, oh, he's like in the top 10 now. Here's Regan. And it was exciting to see, like, he looked really good and he's so complete. Like every body part is there and pretty.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a crazy package. As a bodybuilding fan, he's, if you're trying to win people over, you know what I mean? Trying to win over, if you had to take a freak, like he's got to be a 300 pounder, off season. You have to pick someone who's huge, but you got to win other people over with his physique. Take Regan, man. Like, that's all I got. It's
bonkers to me. His physique as he's gotten bigger reminds me in some ways of Kuklo's build.
Yeah,
like when you just
and also
look at the structure, the height, all that.
Regan's one of the crazy examples of getting bigger and prettier.
True.
Like, that's not how it works.
It's like getting better looking when you get older. What the hell?
Yeah, it's totally weird.
Very true. Do we got any good questions on the side there?
Well, I had another question. I wanted to ask you guys about this little piece. Let's see. I grabbed another little video here. Let's see. So this was actually, no, that's just a screen cap. Here's the video. So there was the point after the show where everybody was basically hitting their poses, and this happened.
I'll tell you one thing. When they came out to pose at the end, I had a feeling.
Hadi, we got to get more pictures.
So Hadi hit that one pose, and then he... What do you think was up with this? Is this a factor of disrespect, or is this a factor of maybe he just made a mistake, or was it an emotional thing, or what do you guys think was going on with that?
I think it was an emotional thing. Hadi, a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, it's bad sportsmanship," and yeah, that's how we define it and how we interpret it and define it. And I'm not sure if there'll be any consequences for it at all on like an official level. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But as far as what Hadi said about it, he put up an Instagram post, and it was in Persian. And I ran it through Google Translate and sent it to you. And so knowing what I know, which is very little about Persian culture, I think this is mostly he's saying, I feel shame for my family. I brought shame to my family. I was defeated. It's sort of a warrior type of thing, right? And obviously I'm not Persian, so I can't speak on. Obviously, Google Translate is like not directly correct, right?
Right.
It's like
not how it works.
It sounds all funny because the words are directly translated, so you lose context and nuance. But he's saying, I fought the whole world. My strength reached everything, except the dagger that I didn't understand. So he's saying something about he tried his best. I assume I'm putting words in his mouth at that point, but forgive me if I couldn't deserve what you deserved. He's I think it's just kind of a that sort of thing. So I don't know if that makes any difference to anybody or anything, but it sort of shows his mindset.
Yeah.
Well, I think the part that gets missed first off is when he lost in the moment, he was right there to congratulate Derek.
Yeah.
Did that part. And I think one thing we all have to, as imperfect beings, you know what you're supposed to do. So you do it. You could be freaking pissed, but you're not pissed at Derek. You know what I mean? So you do the right thing. You do the gracious loser face, and then you go off. I have no idea what his thought process is. The only reason I said, okay, he was definitely pissed was because of how quickly he took off the second place medal. Had he walked off with that on, I could have thought he didn't hear, he didn't understand, a lot of things. He could not get that thing off his neck fast enough. So obviously it was just a heat of the moment situation. Whatever it is, he and Derek have put it behind them already. There's plenty of communication with them right out in public.
Yeah.
So, and I think that there's two sides to that story about champions. Is if it was a mistake, Derek accepted whatever form of apology or whatever was said, and they're fine. So it's. I think that the fans, as people, we love drama.
Sure,
and that's why this is a part of the whole thing. But I'm sure if it was, he definitely feels a little whoops about it. You know? I've made plenty of mistakes much grander than that one. Just didn't have the whole world watching while I did it. So
I'm so tempted to start listing those mistakes. I know some.
We don't have a long enough show.
Yeah, that would really get the clicks. Yeah, no, man, it was great.
People were commenting about Brandon. This is the look on Brandon's face right after that happened. He was just he was like, "Hey, Hadi, no, you're not supposed to leave yet." Oh, and then he just kind of dazed off like that.
His eyes, he's looking right at Steve.
Yeah.
That's where he's looking right now. He's looking right at Steve. He's measuring what is happening right now. He's staring at Steve. Going, oh, man. Right? Am I wrong?
Oh, you're totally right. You're totally right.
Because after you'd look at him walk away, the only other place to look is Steve.
Yeah.
Right?
What does he think?
Yeah.
So we did have a bunch of questions, and we had a bunch of people commenting. People like Carolyn, who had said it was so great to see you guys at the Mutant booth. Let's see if I can get that out right. Mutant booth. The Mutant booth. Head over to the Mutant booth.
Going Canadian.
Very Canadian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
so you guys,
it's awesome to meet everyone.
Did you guys get a chance to see a lot of people that listen to the shows and stuff there?
And you know what the biggest thing they had to say was, "Where is Scott?"
Yeah.
I have to
all weekend for real.
I have to tell you guys, by the way, I texted it, so you guys already know this, but you didn't hear the story. So it was Wednesday. The show comes out on Wednesday normally, right? And I'm minding my own business, and I look at my phone. I'm getting a call from Jim, the owner of Mutant. And I pick up, and I said, "Hey, what's going on, Jim?" And he says, "Scott, you're not coming to the Olympia." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "I just heard." He was like, "I was on the freeway, and I literally just pulled the car over to call you." He had put the podcast on while he was driving home. I literally was calling. He was like, "What's the situation?" He was like, "Can I get you to come out?" He was like, "We'll talk to George. We'll figure something out. We'll find a place for you to stay. We'll fly you out." And I was like, "Oh, no. I really appreciate it, But he was literally like on that moment going to be like, "Hey, we'll just make it happen. Come on out." So I thought that was really cool of him to have offered,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
it's
definitely.
best that you didn't, though, because I was asleep for 10 hours last night after this trip.
Oh yeah, were you guys up pretty? Like, what did you do? What was it like?
Every night.
So here's the thing: you guys told us last time, or Ron, you told us you're like, I don't really know much about doing the Olympia in Orlando. You know everything that goes on in Vegas. What's the Olympia like in Orlando?
Well, I mean, I had a great time. It's nice that we stayed in that hotel. It's kind of like the Arnold in that sense, in that we stayed in the hotel and didn't leave the venue at all. Like, it was just like, you could have spent the entire weekend in that one building, right?
Yeah.
So that was the nicest thing about it. It was just super easy once you got there. The only downside for me was the much longer travel day. It was a 12-hour day for me to get there, with a layover in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
But it was great. And I wanted to ask you guys what you thought. Before I lose my train of thought, I think we have to mention Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do. We
do
have to mention Classic.
We have to talk about Chris Bumstead.
Who's that?
And
Chris who?
Yeah. And I just have to say, am I not the only one who thought that Chris stepped into like the most insane ambassador role this year at the Olympia with his speeches, and set such an extraordinary level for trying to raise the bar of it. He's just a crazy contributor to positivity in the industry, and I just wanted to take a second to mention Bumstead.
Agreed 1,000,000%. Because he did last year too, and I think
it's just been getting crazier.
Yeah. What I like though, and we all know this that are in the sport who promote product or do whatever. Not everyone can do that. So I am understanding of the fact that a lot of people, you can't just hand them a microphone and expect much of anything to come out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But he understands his job beyond having a great physique. And I will say this, and I'm sure you noticed, Ron, but so when they went to when they went to do the top 5 at the show, the way they sectioned off the areas where there were seats and then there was like a walkway in between, by the time they were announcing the top 3 in Classic, people who were in the back had run up front.
You're kidding.
Specifically between 16-year-olds and 25-year-olds. I mean, I saw there were 4 or 5 girls. I actually filmed it because I filmed him win and then I filmed them losing their minds. And these were
No
girls,
way.
You know, like 16-year-old girls going nuts for it. So that's the thing that's different. That's the reach. I was telling Ron that my greatest fame moment is the fact that all the kids at my gym know that Chris Bumstead and I know each other and that he follows me on Instagram. That's the only thing I've ever done with my life, is that Chris Bumstead knows I exist. But that's how big his reach is. You know what I mean? And
came on your podcast one time.
It's great to see him do that, because when he does come out with a great speech that impacts the way everyone can possibly look at their life, it's a lot more valuable than I won, I'm thankful, I worked really hard, the words that every bodybuilder says too much.
Yeah. And I want to mention that when they say, you know how everyone says like, oh, if you're going to have the title, you got to represent all year. You know, you got to like contribute as a champion and try to, and a lot of times, like, what does that mean? Right? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, you know, when we say that, you know, Hadi didn't really do much as Mr. Olympia because he's way over there and there's a language barrier and all that. So, you know, what does that mean? Does it mean social media? Does it mean, you know, doing promotional stuff and showing up at the other shows? Like, what does it mean to be a good representative as Mr. Olympia?
Yeah.
And with Chris, you know, we usually think of like doing things, like going places, like getting on a TV show, like getting on Jay Leno when Ronnie did,
right?
You know, like that sort of thing. But, you know, now it's different with social media because, you know, the reach. But Chris's contributions, he does these little things that are massive to me because they deeply impact people and trigger them. And the things that I'm talking about are all the fun things that he does. Like, he shows up this weekend wearing a Gretzky jersey.
Right.
And everyone's like, what's with the Gretzky jersey? And he's like, he's the great one. And it inspires me. And I'm here to be the great one too. And he's Canadian and he's a hero. And you know what I mean? And he wears the Gretzky jersey the whole weekend. And to me, that is going to cascade through everyone that, because, you know, he's done that with like Jordan and he's done that with other stuff, but he kind of made it a thing. And it's like this stuff, because it engages people on an emotional level differently than just being a champion and just saying hi and, you know, shaking their hand, taking a picture, but having those little things that he does to show that he's trying to get the most out of the moment too. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's trying to make the most out of the moment, and he's trying to cause the most inspiration he possibly can. And so just that process is just, I see it. I see him doing it on purpose.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely on purpose. Like last year when he was selling the posters off of his website, and then when he's in Vancouver, delivered each one that was in Vancouver himself.
That is
knocked
wild,
on their
man.
doors. And listen, let's say he did 10 of those. He put hours into knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine if I was a fan of Chris Bumstead and he came to my door.
I'd lose my mind.
Especially when you're young. You know what I mean?
Lose my mind. I would.
That's just such a great, like, it just shows who he is. And the thing is, I imagine, because that's something the Pittsburgh Penguins do. If you're a season ticket holder, players deliver them to you. They come to your house and they bring you your season tickets. So I think that that's another great example of a way to take things to the next level that he does. Yeah, it was definitely very exciting. One thing I wanted to point out too before I forget is Bob did not ask Chris if he was competing next year because I think he doesn't know.
I kind of vibed that too.
Ask, I went,
I kind of vibed that too.
To answer,
yeah.
You know, that was my guess. I mean, I'm creating that, but I know that if I was possibly going to win and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I would have no shame in saying, Bob, don't ask me that question because I don't want to say I don't know.
I will say this: I do think that the competition is getting closer. You know, there was a time that he was far and above a completely different beast, but I think there's people who are starting to close in, and you can only stay on top. The king of the hill, the wolf on the hill, can only stay on top of the hill for so long. You know, so I could see there being a decision in the future. Will it be next year? Who knows? You know, we'll find out. I guess, right?
I agree that the gap is closing, but I don't believe anyone in that lineup can ever beat him. He has to go backwards. He's Ronnie Coleman. Like, because people were talking after prejudging, and they were like, I don't know. And he walked out, and I looked at Ron, and I go, what are they talking about? I mean, as soon as he walked out, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Drea. You know, we talked to a judge we won't list who, but we just said, hey, how was the 212? And he was like, like, it's tight. And then we were like, what about women's body? And he goes, forget it.
Yeah.
He goes,
you know what I mean? Just casually, he goes,
Yeah.
Because I was like, how hard was judging today? And he just goes, you know, he's like,
Yeah, that was his answer to women's.
It's crazy.
You know,
I hadn't seen Drea.
He just told us he had an easy time with it.
Yeah. I hadn't seen Drea for a good month or 6 weeks or something like that. And she had pulled in so hard between that last show to this show. Like seeing, I saw a video that Mutant had posted with her on Instagram, and just seeing how like cut in her jaw was. Like there was no fat left. It seemed like the shape of her skull, basically. You know what I mean? It was like she took it so much further from the last show to this show in a very short period of time, too.
Right.
Like, and she had to suffer. Like they diet old school. You know what I mean? Like we're talking protein only, no veggies because the veggies are too many carbs. Yeah.
No fat. Yeah.
If you want more food, drink water.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I thought to myself, I think Ron could relate to Chris because he's a fellow Canadian, and I think it's a Canadian thing with the F-bombs. He could
Twice,
Chris
actually.
I caught that too. He was
himself once.
He did, but then at the end he couldn't help it because he was feeling passionate, just like Ron does.
Yeah. Did you see the post I put up? I stole it off another guy's. I screen recorded it, but it was an old video of Chris Bumstead shoveling his driveway.
I remember that.
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
Oh man, that video! It's straight out of Trailer Park Boys. It's beautiful.
It was good.
You know? Yeah. That's
awesome. Good.
So also too, I want to acknowledge. Let's all send our love to Missy.
Yes.
For what happened, Missy Truscott. Smashing the physique round and then blowing her knee out in the routine round. So, what do you say? Dems the brakes? I mean, geez.
I think she's going to bounce back fast. I have a good feeling. You know,
I did not like. I guess there was quite a bit of drama of Whitney Jones essentially taking a shot at her in her routine. That went all over the place. I wish someone would explain that. Paige, explain what that was. I saw it and I never saw what the attack was.
There's something about like killing a shark.
Comment. Yeah, someone's comment, and it was like edited into her music, I think. So
it was like a killing a shark thing, from what I understand. And here's my thought is that if Missy wasn't injured and they were going head to head, and she came in and she was like, "Hey, I'm here to slay the dragon." You know what I mean? You're going against somebody who's called the dragon, and you're the dragon slayer. You know,
right.
I kind of vibe it more as that. But then once Missy gets hurt and she's out, then it could kind of take on, I think, a different vibe. Would be my thought. But what do you?
Dane said she smashed a shark. She knocked a shark off. I'll be honest, my opinion, because I'm a guy. Who cares?
Yeah. And it's like, what is she going to do?
To me
Redo her whole
unnecessary drama, and to add insult to injury, I give her credit for putting that up because I'll say this: if Missy didn't get injured, she would have lost.
Yeah,
and we'd be talking about how dumb it was that she put that in her routine and they got her ass handed to her. So
yeah,
sorry, that's my opinion. Like,
no, that's a good point.
She has passed her.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, no injury. I mean, it's not a question who won that show or would have won that show. So, teach their own, and maybe, and we got to remember that they tried to do that with bodybuilding with the challenge rounds. If they were trying to get some emotion and some things drawn up, and listen, she gave the fans something to talk about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Know. So I don't look at it as bad as a lot of people do, and then because I think it's competitive and it's in good fun, and maybe it wasn't taken that way, but it's not really, in my opinion, it's not my responsibility to decide how you will take what I do. That's on you.
Apparently, she also wound up hurting her shoulder really bad.
Oh, so,
they both came out of it, banged up. But yeah, I wasn't too upset about, I don't know. Little Conor McGregor.
Yeah. So like I said, she got 5th place, and I firmly believe Missy would have won the show, so that would have been 6th. So it don't matter. That's like me talking shit to Phil Heath. Like, okay, dude.
Right. Right.
I loved. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if Scott saw, but they had a lot of fun. Bob had some fun with Shaquille O'Neal and Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah. They showed that on the stream.
Yeah. It was funny. I had the crowd laughing and just Shaq on a microphone. Yeah, you're like, oh man, just keep him on.
Oh,
Put him on stage with Bob. Keep him up
he was
there.
great.
The show would go another hour longer, but it would be hilarious.
Hey, I need to go eat. I don't need the show to go longer. That was good. I was perfectly fine getting out of there. I did want to say real quick, Scott, because you brought it up. I did go out every night.
Okay.
In Orlando was great.
Okay. Yeah.
Like when we left, I was like, where can we go eat? It was like 11 something at night. I literally looked up a place. It was like a real taco place, like a Mexican restaurant. They're like, we're open until 2 a.m. I'm like, this is Vegas.
There you go. Did Nikki go with you?
Bar at 1 a.m. each time. I was out past 1 every single night.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course you did.
Okay. Right on.
We went out, did all that. Took Jim out, got him sloshed.
Yeah. We'll edit it out. Don't worry.
We're
not live or anything. Yeah.
We went through a McDonald's drive-through.
You're doing great.
We went through a McDonald's drive-through at like 1 a.m. and picked up some health food to send them home. Just the basics. I just got fired, by the
way. I had a real fancy dinner with a couple of friends of mine, Morgan and Mel. We went to IHOP after the show.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I love IHOP.
Steak and eggs, baby. And then who do I see there? Who comes in? Branch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, hey, how's it going?
Only the hardcore.
We went to Hash House Sunday morning. It's called Hash House down there. And Brett Wilkin and a bunch of guys came in. I was like, he's like, have you been here? I said, no. We literally were going to the airport, just pulled in. He's like, you made a good turn.
Nice.
And it was awesome. Funny. So, absolute facts.
I want to give a shout to Jonathan at Kissimmee Muscle.
Okay.
I went a few days early and I shot a Mutant on a Mission at Kissimmee Muscle.
Nice.
And he's an equipment nut, man. He's totally up my alley, and he was great to film with. And whenever I meet one of these owners that knows how to tell a story, it makes my job so easy. I don't even have to do anything. I just walk around the gym with him.
Yeah.
And it just all happens. And John was awesome. And I'm standing there kind of waiting to talk to him, and someone comes up, puts their arm around me. Then I turn and look, and it's Yates.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
And he goes, let's send Dino a picture. So we flip up the birds and send Dino a picture. It was funny, British style love. But yeah, so
that's cool.
Like kind of funny. Let's send Dino a picture.
That's cool.
So had a good time.
I should tell everybody, guys, comment with any questions you have. We have some time here. We could knock out some, bodybuilding stuff, off-topic stuff. I had a couple questions for Ron that I've been dying to ask you. I do have one here about training, but before I ask, Ron, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
Technically, it would classify as a sandwich.
Okay.
I mean, anything with bread and meat is sandwich category, but I'm not like hard pressed and going to force anybody to call it that, but it technically is. I mean, they call it a submarine sandwich if you get a sub, right?
Yeah.
True.
So a hot dog is just a small sausage-based submarine sandwich.
Would
Okay.
you eat a hot dog?
Oh, I've eaten many hot dogs, and I would eat another hot dog in the right context. Like if we were at a major league ball game, if you took me to a major league ball game,
Yeah.
I would be like, well, I got to get a hot dog. I'm at a major league ball game. Like this is part of the package. Like, I'm that type of guy.
But like if we're at a Walmart and you needed a snack.
Oh God, no.
No, there would have to be like I'm at like an event of some kind. There's a nostalgic attachment to it if I'm going to consume one.
Gotcha.
It's like the terrible nachos that you get at baseball games as well, where the chips have been stale for 2 years.
Yes.
Those ones, and you're like, oh, $35, perfect. Give me two. Let's do this.
And
I'm all about that stuff.
I have a follow up as well. Is chili a soup?
These are great.
More of a stew? Is it more of a stew?
I like that. I agree with that. It is more of a stew.
Is stew a subcategory of soup? Do we have a flow chart to look at? I don't know.
Not yet. Well, we could make one
Right?
for the next episode,
We will.
Like if you do the family tree, metal comes from rock,
Yeah.
It's like, does stew come from soup? Like, how does it work?
Yeah. All right.
Stew. Dane says stew.
All right. So, like I said, guys, keep commenting because we can keep this thing rolling for a little while here. And we appreciate everybody hanging with us. And if you're new to our content, then, hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, all that stuff. And all your comments, you're helping other people to find this. So thank you for all the comments you guys are giving us. So Daniel asked us, he says, off-topic question, do you guys have better workouts in gyms that you don't know anyone? My membership is about to end. I tried another gym. The equipment was not better, but I felt like my workouts were.
My answer is no. I have better workouts in gyms where I can ask people for spots and that sort of thing. If there's a problem because he knows people, it just means he's talking to them too much. That's what I think. That's what I take from that.
Yeah.
So he's got to learn to like hat down a bit and headphone in and just keep to it. Because just because people doesn't mean your workout should be worse, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I'm very active in making sure I address everyone I see in the gym, like every single person. I'll give them the nod, say good morning, something like that. But if someone comes over to speak, I will cut it off politely, quickly. Like,
right.
Because I have to go on, and they understand. You know what I mean? So, but if you do want to change, the other option, because it sounds like you're going to a lesser gym, change the hour you train for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
That never hurts. We trained in the afternoon last week because we had to, and I was like, oh, we're going to do this every now and then. I like it. It was just a good time of day to go. I felt good with more meals and, but yeah, that just means you talk too much because very rare for someone to come up and talk enough that I have to like kibosh it.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Apparently we didn't cover enough Olympia stuff because we had more Olympia questions. First of all, did you go to the press conference? Paige said, what did you guys think of it? It seemed like it was long this year.
I always thought
I didn't go to the press conference. I just watched the highlights on Instagram.
Okay. And Lucas, he says,
I used to go to that back in the day, like back in the 2000s.
I went last year.
Really?
Yeah. Guys, how was the expo? Was it busy? And most of all, was it bigger compared to last year's?
Oh, the expo was awesome. I thought they did a good job of spacing the booths out enough so it didn't feel like a giant traffic jam. If you had to go to the bathroom, you could actually get there.
Yeah.
We were really busy Friday, like much more than I expected. Saturday, of course, was more. But like when I got to the booth, I think Ron had beat me there by a couple of minutes. And we did not leave one corner of the booth for 3 hours.
No kidding.
We did not move.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is a Friday.
Also,
all right.
Also, too, I used to have, say you look at the spectrum of people that come to say hi, I, started noticing that like that many of them mentioned the podcast, and then,
Okay.
it became that many of them mentioned the podcast. And now it's like this many of them mentioned the podcast. Like,
Okay.
More and more and more.
yeah. And it's really, really increased. And
That's
Let's
awesome.
not
Sure,
also
Dusty-
forget to mention we had 3 ladies that like really mentioned loving the show, and
Yeah.
they loved the drug talk.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
shocked.
that was funny. And the one said, yeah, I just want to know what my husband's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Speak his
That's
language,
just-
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now, how does
it's
he
kind
learn
of funny.
yours? Anyways,
And I was like, yeah.
Chase Irons is with us. He said, Scott, we
Yeah.
missed you this weekend. You guys I saw pictures with you and Chase in Vigorous Steve together.
Yeah,
Yes.
Vigorous Steve brought Chase by the booth and introduced us, and we got
I ran
a
him in
photo
the hallway.
together. And
Okay.
Vigorous Steve invited me to bring Emily to Thailand. He said he'd roll out the red carpet and make sure we, knew all the hacks, where to actually stay for gym reasons and what gyms are best, and like how to enjoy the
That'd be
holiday and where
awesome.
to eat and all that. So I'm gonna, maybe run that by her.
You should do it, man. You should do it. He's been trying to talk us into going out there too. It sounds like fun. Not to mention, I mean, it is technically like if you go over there and you were to say shoot a mutant on a mission, I mean, it's business at that point, right? You can write the whole thing off.
Business. Well, or maybe Mutant sends me over to do a mutant on a mission, and then it's not even my business.
There you go.
Even better.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about this one? There was another question. I think it had to do. Okay, the longest intentional break each of you have taken from the gym. How did you approach that first week back? Just got off a break. First lift back, took pre and had Slipknot jamming. Felt like I was on jet fuel.
I love it.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, agreed.
That is a good feeling. The longest intentional layoff I ever had was 1 month, and
Okay.
I remember doing it like twice in like 25 years of being a bodybuilder. And it was just because I had too many things bothering me, and I just gave up. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not even gonna squeeze a dumbbell. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And just took a month off. And then, I remember I did it once right before a prep. I just said, I'm not quite healthy enough for this prep. Like, I was freaking out. So I just took a month off. And then when I got back in the gym, I was fine. Prep went awesome, And then the other one was I took a month off because my knee was bugging me. And then I got back in the gym and blew up to 315. And then I blew my quad on a trampoline.
I was there
So
for
that was, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you feel better when you get back in the gym. You feel great,
I was never the only thing that I did when I would go back, whether it was a short break or a long break, was the first week I would like get blood in, train hard, but I didn't try to kill myself. The second week, no governor, just go. You're gonna be sore no matter what. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you want to ease in? I'm like, I do a week just to like get the blood moving and feel movements, but after that, it's like time to go. Look
Natalia
who it
Coelho,
is.
thanks for
Natalia.
joining us. Great job this
Oh,
weekend.
my goodness. Yes.
She looked fantastic.
Yeah, you did. You looked unbelievable. Really great work. And the, like competitor of that level watching the show just freaks me out.
It freaks you out. Do you guys feel like Nick deserves a special invite for the 2024 Olympia?
Well, I don't really have a problem with the IFBB doing like really good business decisions.
There it is.
When someone does something that like contributes significantly to like financial benefit of everyone involved, I'm like, is that unfair? I don't know. I know someone might complain about it. Oh, he's got to requalify, but I don't know. They give special invites to other people. What's the precedent for special invites been like?
Here's my thought in reverse. If Nick, because of the way you have to get in now, if Nick doesn't get a special invite, someone else doesn't get to come. because he's going to beat them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So factor that in. Like, Nick is not doing a show he needs to qualify and not winning the entire show. That's like he does not have a gear be less than 110%, and Nick at 110% is top 4 in the world without question. The other 3 are qualified. So what's the point? Like, give him the invite, guaranteed fanfare, get you one more athlete on the stage for sure that would have won if Nick didn't show up. I'm good with that, absolutely. You know, and like Ron said, that's just a financially great decision. You know, come on. You know, if someone of that stature in this, with or without the situation, to be honest with you, but you know, in this case, it's like it was a big blow for him to not be there, and it's not like, I mean, hey, we all saw the pictures. He was ready.
Yeah.
This wasn't a pulled hamstring because he looked like dog shit. Sorry.
You got to remember that the precedent for that is the Lou Ferrigno invite. That was just 1,000% based on ratings and magazine sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, well, hey, I don't blame him. I didn't mind having Lou there. It wasn't like, how did he qualify? Like, fuck, losing the show. You know, whoops.
We're really sucking all of a sudden.
A little passion. But yeah, it's funny. I'm reading some of the side things, and I'm getting so distracted because I want to feel like I want to answer every single question, but it's hard.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot over there.
Get us some more, Scott.
To completely objectify the females in our audience, would you rather bikini girls or wellness girls?
Oh, I thought you were asking them to answer.
Oh, that's very
it's a tough call.
That's like asking if I like, you know, I can't even use that analogy. Bass guitars or guitars. I guess I love them both. I don't know. I appreciate.
I've gotten old, and my answer has changed. If I can't sit with you for an hour and talk about anything and everything, I don't care what you look like. That has absolutely happened in my life. You could be the greatest. I would immediately be like, get away from me. So I couldn't even answer because I don't know any of those girls to that level. And without that knowledge, I have no idea.
And another thing too is like I quite often think like, oh wow, these girls all look great, but I'm a lot older. I would never want to like if Emily said, hey, I want to get back on stage, I'd be like, oh no, I'm done.
Easy. Thought we had an agreement here.
You know,
we did.
Dusty's got his wife's competing. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
I couldn't have another prep in the household. No more preps.
Man, digging further into Nick, thoughts on Nick. I didn't know about this, so this is like my education here too. Thoughts on Nick not getting an MRI, not visiting a doctor, and just letting it physio handle it.
It depends on what they're seeing, right? Because your physio is probably using what the hell is it called? The scan deal they use when you're having babies. Jeez,
ultrasound.
Ultrasound. You can see a ton from an ultrasound. Like my PT has looked at an ultrasound and then told me I did not need an MRI. And I had one moment where with the ultrasound, he goes, let's just be sure, go get the MRI.
Yeah.
And what he saw in the ultrasound was still correct. So that's the first thing. You know, Nick isn't trying to spare expense. So he's absolutely going based on what's best for his career, and it's probably not necessary.
Yeah, I'd leave it to him. I mean, I had that pop in the back of my hamstring a couple years ago when I fell on my bike, and I knew that something happened because it popped. But I could feel that all the tendons were attached, and I could feel that when I curled my leg, even though it hurt, I could feel everything flexing and moving. So I just let it rest, and 5 days later, 7 days later, it was purple. So it turned purple, and a month later, I started doing really light leg curls and rehabbed it. And I never got anything. I never got it looked at, but I knew what had happened because I'm a bodybuilder and I know where everything attaches and I can feel around. And I don't know. I wasn't that worried.
So when is Nikki's competition, Dusty?
23 weeks.
Wow. You guys got started. She got started pretty early then. How far out was that?
Months ago.
30 some. Yeah. 35 or something, 36 weeks out.
Because
she's already down.
She has a brain
or something.
and knows. Like Ron will tell you this too. It's like there's nothing worse than someone bringing you a physique and a timeline. Like,
Yeah.
she had not been competing for years. I mean, she's down like 18 pounds, and they haven't changed the diet once.
yeah.
It's just eating correctly. You know, and
18.
It makes that 20 or so weeks, whenever they decide to really flip the switch, be a lot easier than had she brought that physique to Ron at 20 weeks out and been like, help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we got a head start. Her legs are looking great. You know, she's going to be in like a real good off-season position come 20 weeks out. It'll be like that really good off-season look, even though she's been, you know, dieting essentially. But with that, it's been pretty livable.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, every week she gets something, and then like the Olympia, I mean, she probably ate 3 meals. I mean, it's not locked in, but when it's time, then you just shut it down and go to work. She just wishes the 20 weeks was sooner.
Yeah.
She's ready to like get into it. I'm like, whoa, fat kid could use a couple more meals out.
Right.
I'm not going out alone. That's boring.
You look leaner, Dusty. I saw your guys' pictures and stuff. I could see the difference, man. You look like you're tightening up some, huh?
We should show some from today, because I'm pretty sure I laughed. I stepped on the scale as far as 284.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. Dusty made me feel very retired this year.
Yeah.
I kept the t-shirt sleeves on and everything. Dusty was too much.
On both days, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I didn't cut my shirt off this year, Dusty. I just wore regular t-shirts.
There you go.
How about this one? He says, "What's going on, boys? Nice to see you again. Are you guys are you into arm wrestling?" I saw him comment before. He's an arm wrestler who got into training for a year ago now, and he's loving it. I'm seeing more and more guys that are arm wrestlers that listen to our content, and I think some of it's the gear stuff. Some of those arm wrestling guys, they hit the sauce pretty hard.
Yeah. Saucing
Every sport.
The only thing I know about arm wrestling really is I follow Devin Larratt.
Okay.
Who's like a Canadian legend. He's like this massive multi-champion guy, but he's Canadian, and everyone up here knows who Devin Leverett is. So if you follow him, he's awesome. He smashes guys.
Yeah.
But he's been on Rogan. He did a really good episode of Joe Rogan and stuff. So yeah, he's cool to follow. And he does a lot of like heavy band stuff. So he'll put like 10 bands on his thumb, and then he practices like turning his thumb over. Like he'll hook it with his foot, and he's like hooking and he's like pulling these bands up and cranking on them.
Yeah.
And he says bands are like the most important thing to have for arm wrestlers, because it's all about like rotation and all about like, moving the whole shoulder and not just like isolating with dumbbells and stuff. So he lifts weights, but he does a lot of this really crazy band stuff where he's got like 5 bands in his hand and he's like trying to roll his arm over and stuff. Pretty cool.
No kidding.
That's where the spiral fracture comes into play.
Ooh,
yeah. He's the guy that broke Ian Valaire's arm.
You're kidding me.
When he's a kid. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was at an expo in Canada.
Yeah.
And Ian arm wrestled him, and he spiral fractured his humerus.
That was the guy. Huh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Look at that.
Yeah, we've got a guy, I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's local here to me, and he's an arm wrestler. I didn't even know it because he's just a big jack dude, and he has like the best collection of home workout equipment, like every machine you could possibly think of. His basement, it's one of those setups where he obviously has a bigger basement, first of all.
Right.
But he has even a stair mill down there, so it has like the high clearance. But it's the type of basement gym that like it's a maze. You know what I mean? There's not like nice aisles, but you got to kind of turn sideways to get to this machine, and it's like everything. He probably has I'm not joking, man, 25 machines in his basement, like full on complete gym setup down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Devin has this cool. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast, and Lex Friedman was talking about mentally beating your opponent.
Yeah.
And Devin's like savage. Like he says stuff to people as they're setting up and stuff like that, He's talking to you the whole time. The ref's locking your hand together. Devin's just talking to the guy the whole time, right? And it's just this mental thing, and he goes super hard. And then the last thing they see written right on his hand, it says quit.
I love it.
That's amazing.
He puts his hand up, and that's what you see. He says quit right in your face. Boom. Right into your frontal lobe. Here, take that, subconscious.
Ron, as a Canadian, if you had to defend yourself in a dark alley against Justin Trudeau, what would your fight strategy be? In self-defense only, of course. Now, this is a U.S.-based podcast, so you can have this conversation.
You're good.
What would my fight strategy be?
Yeah. How would you handle that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of yeah. Yeah. I would assert my free speech to him and make him cry and whimper with insults. And I think belittling and embarrassing would be my strategy.
Dusty,
he left me alone.
What did you send us here? What am I looking at here?
I wanted you to see Dorian Yates doing his training this weekend. He did a little hit workout at the expo, and I think you should put it up. Look what it says at the bottom. Scroll up, bring it up.
Oh.
Hit tits, 1 rep to failure, only in the USA.
Holy crap. I guess so.
I loved that. That lady was walking around the expo and she owned, like, it was fantastic to see. Just the pure reaction of the circus of the US is amazing.
Yeah.
That's like the most devoted to tits I've ever seen. Like, her lifestyle is just absolutely about her tits. Like,
it really is.
Like there's nothing can
you
she drive a car?
She has a giant fake.
Yeah, she has the ass too.
You couldn't even catch it. It doesn't.
Oh.
It's just as circus as the front.
Yeah, the ass is circus too. You know.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice her butt. That's crazy.
She looks like Penguin from Batman Returns.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, that was amazing.
You know.
Oh man.
Hey, there was a question asking about a TRT dose, and I'm just going to tell Lynn. She says, my fiance is an amateur men's physique competitor, and he weighs 184 pounds lean on stage, and he's wondering if 200 is a good TRT dose, or should he go to 250? I just wanted to throw in quick little bit of information that you got to go by your lab work. You know, for TRT, you're looking at where's your range at. So for some people, 200 is going to put you way out of range. TRT is different than a cruise dose too, so just I figured I'd throw in that little bit real quick there.
Yeah, and it's best to get technically it's best to see your test and your free test.
Yeah,
so you can truly gauge, where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might be like I know guys that are on 80 milligrams a week.
Yeah,
and they're on like the top third of normal range on their test levels. You know, because they're you gotta go by that.
How about this one? Lucas says, have you guys ever worked with strongman / powerlifters as clients, training or nutrition? What was the major differences compared to bodybuilders?
I work with powerlifters. I've never worked with a strongman.
Yeah.
And powerlifting, to be honest, was easy because unlike the strongman where I don't have any idea necessarily of what the workouts are going to be. The powerlifting was easy, and it was just it becomes off-season bodybuilding where the only focus though is strength, and their training is what affects a lot of the strength versus actually just adding tissue. But the diet and the supplementation is similar. There's obviously pretty strong nuances I can't cover here, but I mean, overall, I thought they were easy to work with. And I handled the nutrition side 100%. And then his powerlifting coach handled the training, and they just sent it to me so I could see it. Yeah. So I could gauge what was happening with his physique and what he was doing as far as training to make adjustments.
You know what I've noticed is that sometimes I think powerlifters, and of course this is a general statement, could benefit from looking at bodybuilders' diets. I think that I see a lot of powerlifters and people in strongman or strongwoman that are like, I need to just, put on more weight, so I'm going to just eat a bunch of crap. When in reality, I've worked with people who maybe had that mentality. Then they're like, hey, I'm going to diet down and try a bodybuilding show because they already have a ton of muscle. They're just not in shape, right? Yeah. And then after that, it's kind of cool when you can see them take that with them. Maybe they don't follow like a strict bodybuilding plan like you had them on for a show, but you don't want them to do that in an off season anyway. But I think that you can get more out of your body if you actually pay attention to your nutrition more. I think that with respect, I think that's where powerlifters tend to lack.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Sure.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think, we know a lot more now than we used to. And like my off season back in the 90s, I would never do that to a client now, right? Just because now I'm way more health conscious and, like how's your efficiency and how do you feel? I didn't realize how garbage I felt half the time, So, yeah.
What about Dane said, did you guys try the new tech equipment at the expo? That stuff is smooth.
I used it at Hadi and Iris Kyle's Powerhouse in Vegas a while ago. So, I liked some of the pieces. I thought the footprints were a little big on some of the stuff, and I think it's from Korea. And I don't know how tested out it is in hardcore gyms, but I mean, I did like several of the pieces.
Yeah, I don't leave the booth at all. It's really outside of going to the bathroom, we don't leave it's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not go to a single booth outside of ours except for the second day. Right when I walked in, I walked Nikki to Mike's booth just because she wanted to get a T-shirt, and I didn't even have was trying to get back, so I literally gave Mike a wave and just walked.
Mike Van Wyck.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just. I wish there was, but really on those when it's a 2-day show, there's no time. Like when we go to the big ones that are longer, I don't feel bad walking around for 30 minutes and just kind of checking it out. But that expo's fast.
Yeah, I only went to 2 booths. I went and saw
that up right now. Right.
Oh yeah, I walked past Mike Van Wyck and Quentin Beastwood. Yeah, they were.
Rod, how were they?
They were busy and, obviously, probably disgusting on a day-to-day level, but
the comment was bathrooms, guys, for any of the audio listeners.
Yeah. How were the bathrooms? They were very acceptable for an expo and absolutely nothing like the Arnold's the last
soap
several times.
Dispensers full, place to dry your hands. It was all there. It was,
yeah.
And then, what I noticed at this expo that was so funny is because there would be a little bit of a line. No one's like the gym. You ever notice how people just walk out of the bathroom? It doesn't matter, stall or whatever. Ain't nobody doing that with 10 people watch you walk by. Everyone stops and washes their hands. I'm like, damn right.
Yeah.
and then I had this funny moment. I went to the one bathroom and, there's a lineup and everyone's waiting for the urinals. And I noticed the handicap stall was open and no one was in it.
Okay.
So I just went and peed in it, right? And I went in there, locked it, took a quick piss, turned around, there's a sink there.
Oh, you had your own little station.
My own little private sink. I'm enjoying my own little private bathroom, drying my hands out with a paper towel. I'm like, wow, this is cool. There's a little sink in here. Then I come out of the stall and walk out of the bathroom. Yeah. And now I'm thinking to myself, oh no.
Those people
Those people probably think I took a dump in a stall. And then walked out onto the floor without washing my hands.
Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I had this Curb Your Enthusiasm circus playing in my head.
Yeah.
And I just,
no. There was a sink in there. There was a sink in there.
There was a sink. There's a sink. Yeah. People thinking, who's this crazy guy ranting about? Yeah. I had that moment. I had this little bit of horror. Walking back to the
I could
booth,
see
like,
that.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
What did I just do? Almost better to wash your hands a second time just to put on a show.
Yeah, put on a show for everybody else.
Immediately reach in your pocket and use your disinfectant stuff.
People walking by the booth looking at me.
Yeah.
Why
hey,
does
nice
no
to
one
meet
want
you.
to
No,
talk
I'm
to
good.
Ron today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's why they use Dusty 20, everyone. That's why they use Dusty 20.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if Missy's going to move to figure. I don't see that happening. I've heard people talking. I don't see that happening. Could you guys ever see her doing that?
No, she loves what she does.
Yeah,
she would do phenomenal there too, but I'd be disappointed because I love watching her be insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's insane. Like the things that she does blow my mind when I've seen them. I'm like, oh, whoa.
Yeah. They were great. They were great.
Yeah, she looked great too. Like just her physique she looks literally like a cartoon character. You know what I mean? Yes. Like some sort of comic book superhero or something.
Yeah, everyone thought she, that everyone was using the word dominate.
Okay.
Like she dominated the physique round, like every single person was using that specific word. So it kind of gives you an idea of like how it was going on,
Yeah. Another comment on Andrea winning her fourth. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that was about all we had here, guys. Was there anything else we had to talk about before we left? Anything we needed to cover?
The feedback on the reaction videos was great. I had a lot of people mention those this weekend.
Okay.
People were like, keep doing those. You got to keep doing those. And people requested all types of stuff, like certain videos, like some guys said, hey, you got to throw on some of the, like the battle for the Olympia 2001.
Ooh.
Jake Cutler's segment is the day after the show at Gold's Flamingo. You guys remember the red equipment?
Cared about. Yep.
Yeah.
And he was doing press downs and stuff like that. And he's like, you should do that clip. And I thought, that's a good one. Like, there's a lot of great clips,
Yeah.
So yeah, just good. We love getting the suggestions from you guys,
Ooh, good question. Now we're getting more questions there. That was great.
How do you guys think Ian Valliere would have placed?
Oh, he could have been in the top 10.
Sure in the top 10. For sure in the top 10.
I also want to mention Crizzo. He was peeled. He was up there posing by himself, and I looked over at Dusty when he left the stage.
Yeah.
And Dusty looked at me and was like, he's nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Absolutely nasty.
Like
his arms are out of
dry.
control too.
He is crispy popcorn, man. Like dry. Yeah. Great look.
I would have Ian absolutely. I'm going to say the top 7 because I don't want to say he would automatically beat out Hunter, but him and Hunter were coin flips the whole for their career.
Yeah.
So I think that top 7 for sure. As down low as 4 or 5. He looked awesome.
Yeah, I could see him as low as 4 or 5 somewhere in there.
Selfishly, I will miss Ian competing. So.
Yeah. I want to say that when you take Ian out of the lineup, you take how much was he on stage? 280 pounds.
Yeah, and he was the same width, height, all of the above because he was so massive.
You're removing like a huge block of just mass monster. Like it's noticeably missing.
Yeah,
Ian is the only.
He's one of those guys
that's
noticeably
wide like Jay. Ian is wide like Jay.
He had a Jay walk. Yeah. And you can remove certain guys from the lineup and it doesn't create the void that I thought Ian does.
It's a good
there
point.
he was a consistent top 10 guy.
Yeah.
And took up a lot of real estate, man. In that lineup.
Yeah.
And you see second call out and there's monsters in the second call out that are like 280 pounds shredded glutes and stuff. And you remove those guys, it's like, it's not quite the same.
And it's funny when you put it that way because you're talking about say 4th through 8th place, third through 7th, somewhere in there. But when we talk about any other show, and then you find out Ian's in it, any other show, and you're like, well, Ian's probably going to win, or he's right up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the caliber of his physique. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect. He wasn't necessarily pretty in conventional ways. And it was like, shoo-in to win.
Yeah.
Right.
Sharp Home Solutions made a good point. He did say, as you guys kind of talked about earlier, not to rehash too much, but he said this year was really a battle for 5th place down. And we had a bunch of people asking about, was Andrew better than Crizzo? And was Hunter better? Where did you guys put all of that?
Better themselves or better against him? Is that what you're asking? I mean, shape is what kills him. It's not pretty. From the side... Because who are they listing there against Hunter and you said Andrew?
Yeah.
Andrew, Crizzo, Hunter were the 3 people he mentioned.
Yes, Andrew and Hunter were better. Yes.
Yeah, just on shape, you're saying itself.
Yeah,
he's nasty, but it's and I say this with respect from someone who's nowhere there same level. It's ugly.
Yeah,
it's
not
just
pretty.
Nasty.
When he was on
and that's how he
stage,
makes it.
I kept thinking his condition and striations in every body part is awesome, and his arms are crazy.
Yeah.
That was my take on Crizzo. Yeah.
But then you look at someone else and you're like, there's absolutely nothing missing.
Yeah, like Hunter was more complete, and
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of Dino versus Chris? Where would Dino have to improve? What could he do?
So I thought Chris, Chris is here. He's a standard. We had Dino here last year, and now I think we had Dino here this year. But it's still, it's still not. I just don't ever see it being here. I don't know. I just, bar something happening, I just don't see it ever surpassing.
I think when you look at structure, things people think about are like shoulder width, waist, those things. But in classic, then you've got rib cage. Like when Chris just opens up in a front relaxed, or his front, Dino's got a crazy front double until it's next to Chris.
Yeah.
And then Chris's legs
are bigger,
look massive up there. My only complaint with classic that I didn't mention earlier was I don't see how we needed a 3-man call out in the open and we didn't need it in the classic, because I feel like third place classic was closer to the top 2 than open. Like when we watched it just now, all we did was talking.
Good.
I would have liked to see him compared against them, because he was absolutely better than 4th, 5th, 6th. And I would have liked to see him stand next to them in the call out. I was surprised by that move, particularly because, like I said, in the open, they didn't do that.
Yeah. Also, this is like a nitpick, but Ramon does, when they say favorite classic pose, everyone kind of does 2 poses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they all do the one and then they like do a twisting back, shot or something. Ramon does this double hand overhead with his hands like turned like this, and he does them overhead and he leans to the one side. It's like a Frank Zane looking type pose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that pose.
Oh.
And his quads have no separation. His quads don't separate at all. The one leg that's kind of trailing it doesn't like split to the hip. And then his arms, they're not like, Sergio can put his arms, Lee Priest can put his arms over his head, right?
Not many people can put their arms overhead.
No, and then he's not the widest guy, so when he puts his hands up, I just think it's a really bad pose for him, man. And he's in the top 2 at the Olympia, standing next to Bumstead, and then he hits a pose that I think is just a terrible idea.
That you don't have to hit.
Yeah. And I know it's like pretty and ultra classic, like Frank Zane's Sun Worshipper pose, but you're standing next to Bumstead, man. Pick a different shot. Like do something freaky where striations just explode out of your body, You can't give up lines.
Competitors should note is your favorite classic pose should be the best 2 classic poses that you can hit. Like, they don't have to be your favorite.
Yeah.
Like, no, forget about your favorite. Like, I love a front double, but I should avoid it like the plague. Like, it don't look good on me,
Yeah, see? Hey, Chaz gets it. I know exactly what you're talking about. He doesn't flex his legs properly. Yeah.
Wonder about this, if there's any truth to it. Paige said, I heard Steve isn't a fan of Dino's posing and goofing off with C-Bum on stage either.
Well,
I don't know about that, but I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
Steve's a pretty straightforward kind of guy.
Yeah. I do feel like the goofing around stuff, though, I think it adds something to the show. I don't mind seeing that as a fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. There's a line.
As long as it doesn't come across as like genuinely hostile, like Kai and Heath.
Yes.
That was like a little bit not necessarily the best, it obviously got us all buzzing, but if you think you don't want a lot of that,
Yeah. So I think that's all we got here, guys. I think that's it. You guys are freaking awesome. Everybody hanging out with us today on this Monday afternoon.
Yeah, we got our 90 minutes in. I know, definitely fun to do. I had a couple people say that they really love the lives and they wish we did more of them. So that definitely was something that I heard from a few people. So, we're glad that you guys do. And I guess we got some reaction videos that we've done that we're going to be able to hammer out soon. Hey, Scott, when are we going to drop those?
They'll be coming. So if it were up to me, they'd be out sooner than what YouTube would like them to be out. So here's the deal. Okay. we have 2 of them in the bank now, and they are approved. So now it's just finding the day. So this week is everything's going to be kind of turned on its head since this comes out Monday. Drugs and Stuff will come out Wednesday. Blood, Sweat, and Gear Friday, as always. And we're gonna move some stuff around. So I think Saturday is a really good day for the reaction videos, and we have to find another day, maybe Thursday or Tuesday. Tuesday would probably be a good one. So. But they'll be coming out. We'll have some more. You guys should tell us too. Who else do you want to see? Comment with that stuff for us.
Yeah, maybe we can drop. Can we drop one? Yeah, can we drop one on Wednesday? Can we drop one of the ones we already have?
Well, I have, since we're doing this on Monday when Drugs and Stuff usually comes out. I have to put that. Yeah, I got that for that slot. But we got one for Saturday for sure. And then we've got another one in the bank. So I'm going to try to get up to putting out 2 per week is the game plan.
There we go. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so remember, everybody, share.
Whoa, we got super chats. We got super chats here.
Damn, what's happening?
Holy crap!
What happened?
Scott's gets to stay in his house 1 more month.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Samson blew me away, hoping he gets diced for next year and takes it from Derek. By the way, the Hadi fanboy spamming people's pages with comments. You are so annoying.
Is that what was happening? That's what somebody else was commenting. That people got his channel or his Instagram shut down by their comments, like threatening comments.
It was community standards pulled it for a bit, I think, and then they got it going again.
So he's back. Okay.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah.
Last time I checked.
We got that one. And Jesse threw one up here too. What does he say? Super late to the live stream.
Oh my!
Can't wait to watch the replay, dude. In the meantime, here's my support. Man, that's super generous of you. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thanks, guys. I mean, it definitely is. Appreciated the support for the show, the whole keep a producer home thing that we're trying to keep going here, Scott.
I don't know where he's going to edit without his house, so we need this.
Yeah. But that's everything that Scott puts into the show, we appreciate too. I know me and Dusty discussed that while we were gone. So thanks for all your efforts, buddy.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I love being a part of this, and I love having the community that we've built here, and it's bigger than us now. You know what I mean? It's all of us. It's the people that come up to the booth, the people that are commenting here.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool that we can have this. And I get so many messages from people who are like, hey, I have to drive an hour each way to work each day. Right. And I listen to your guys' show, and it makes my day a little bit better. And I know personally how that feels, having done that exact same thing myself. So I'm pumped that I can be a part of something like that, and that we can all do this together. So this is my jam. I'm living my best life, honestly.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So everyone, thanks. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell. And of course, the Patreon, Think Big Bodybuilding Patreon, keep a producer homed. And remember, IamMutant.com, Mutant supporting the show, supporting the hardcore, always there for Dusty and I and Scott. And go on IamMutant.com and get your IsoSurge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. Dusty 20, Big Ron 20. Use your code and save 20%. Is that it, guys? Another live in the books.
That's it. But except for Madness, you got to mention Madness too, because that's my jam
love
now.
The Madness. Okay. Well, there we go. I'll throw that in. Okay. We'll see you guys later, and remember, it's just bodybuilding.
Thanks, guys.